Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone has had a fantastic day so far. It's definitely starting to feel the slowdown of the season, that's for sure. Can feel the can definitely feel that things are slowing down, but looking at the overall movement so far on the Nasdaq, I mean, realistically, we have there's a lot of really good movement. We had that really, really nice strong bull rally all the way up, went a little bit sideways, then finally popped up to new highs, hit resistance, and then faded all the way back down again, down to, really, really far down low. That's like a, 80% pullback before attempting to go back up again. But it doesn't seem like buyers are super interested, and now we're flushing back lower. It's not looking great for buyers at the moment. It's looking like they've got a bit of a challenge on their hands. In the shorter term, for the most part, just going a bit sideways to slightly down. Haven't really shifted gears yet. And now we wait. Bulls still finding some pretty good support here. That's a really nice bounce down there. Lots of volume that stepped in on the 706.50s. Sellers have a halfway decent chance of trying to take this a little bit lower, too. The issue for them is the zone for sellers' resistance is right inside the buy zone, too. So it's a bit of a fist fight right in here. And you can see we got top weighted volume stacking at the highs, volume stacking at the lows. It's pretty balanced so far. Sellers showing a bit more continuation, but seems like they ran into a brick wall down at the lows. Buyers once again defending that base. I would honestly like to see if they can break a little further down. I would much prefer to see like the 704s. It's kind of a recurring zone. Same place was causing a big old mess earlier today too. That bear bar in the 5-minute chart, that's no joke. Wow, hello, bulls. Bitcoin pulling back pretty aggressively now, 22,580, dropping off the highs. Big volume stepping up on the Nasdaq again. That bear bar on the 5-minute, that's some really bad follow through. Got a bull engulfing 1-minute bar to the upside. Lots of volume staying stacked at the 715s. Lots of volume at the 715s. It's having a real heck of a time getting above the 715s too. Seems like it hits its head against the wall every time. Now price is trying to get back above the 15s. That was a zone of resistance for sellers to try to push back against, and they're not doing it so great. All right, bulls continuing the rotation to the upside. Now sellers might be a bit stuck down at those 15s, but we're getting back in the moving average territory now. Honestly, if sellers are going to try to push back against this move, it would make sense that they're going to do it further up. So far, all of these areas of resistance have been really, really deep. If you look with the trend, it's been deep pullback, 70-80%, drops lower. Deep pullback, 70-80%, drops lower. Probably going to see a deep pullback, 70-80%, and a little bit of a drop lower. Not necessarily expecting it to go down to a new low, though, because this is a pretty aggressive V-bottom type move. First objective at like the 19 quarters or so. The breakdown point for sellers, realistically, if it starts breaking above 29 quarter, traders who are looking for low probability but very high reward, they're not going to want to see it break much above that. Higher risk traders, it's okay to see it go a little bit further up here because that's what it's been doing all day. See if you can get a little bit of a move back down to the 19 quarters for now. Starting to get a little bit jumpy too, so. So the break point for shorts, if they're looking for low probability, again, it's going to be breaking above like the 30s. That's kind of game over at that point for the short term. For the longer term, seeing a wider move up makes sense. Lots of sell volume still coming in at the 2750s and trying to hold price down. The zone's still trying to hold, it's just not turning around. S&P also showing some pretty good bullish momentum to the upside. Beginning to make a bit more sense for shorter term objectives to be a bit further up now at 2150. If the sellers were going to take over aggressively, they should have already done it. That means that when it does push down, it's going to be a little bit more aggressively bought back into. Jeez. All right. All the way back up again. Now, this is the point where it's either going to be a break-even test and sellers push back down, or this is going to be an attempt to try to drive the market back up again, in which case I'm not interested in adding more risk. See if sellers can get another continuation push to the downside. They've got the break-even test. Now they got to hold it. There's a lot of volume coming in at the 27s, but there's a lot at 23 too. Bouncing off break-even again, 26.75, just kind of messing around. 21.75 is the objective to see if it wants to push down, but there's a lot of volume stacking up. If the sellers are going to show up, I want them to do it sooner than later. They're messing around with the highs, but they're holding back still. All right, now a quick thrust up through the 30s into the 32s would be a nice zone for sellers to try to push back again. But I want to see it quickly pop up to that point. Went up to 30 quarter, huh? All right. Well, if the market does return back to the downside, a 2-to-1 actual risk is at 1975, so I'm willing to accept that. Still got about 40 seconds left on this current candle. It'd be nice to see this 1-minute bar close bear, even if it was an inside bear bar, especially closing on its lows. But the bulls have some decent pressure here, so. There's a metric ton of volume coming in. The market's just going nowhere. All right, do they want to pop into the 32s? No. More volume stacking up in the 2850s. I'm growing less and less patient. It's forcing me to sit underwater. Not by, I mean, it's only like -2 ticks, -3 ticks, -4, -2, -4. I'm gonna look for an exit. I don't like it. No thanks. That's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see something like this, right? I'll give it time. That's fine. But I got to see that thing fall apart. It's not doing it. Next zone's going to be a little bit further up in the 32s. Maybe they just want to mess around with the highs a bit more. I gotcha. All right, NASDAQ. It's got to trap the high one more time first. This might just be a flush for earlier shorts to get out of break even. Don't lose sight of it yet. 15 minutes until the end of day. Very nice bear bar to the downside, of course. Now, this is either going to be a washout that buyers are going to be buying into from this previous support, and it'll be a push back up. We've got an outside bar down and immediately jumps right back up again. I mean, I guess in hindsight, I could have waited and see for it to come back to break even, but I just didn't see it worth the risk. I would rather keep the loss small. I mean, what was that, 7 ticks? There's just too much of a chance that if it does break out through the highs, it goes screaming. I'm not about to sit through all that. Next zone is going to be up a little bit further, 32 to 35-ish. Definite possibility for a V bottom. I wish it would have gone just a little bit lower down to those 704s. Very nice bull bar to the upside. No continuation, though. Nobody's in a hurry. It looks like the start of a potential breakout to the upside, but where are the buyers? On the S&P, I mean, it looks halfway interesting if the S&P can get a little bit of a lower dip. I think shorts who shorted here got a little bit stuck. They're going to be looking to get out at 10. I'm sure they wouldn't mind 9 if it gave it to them. S&P watching 710. That's the earlier shorts entry point to the downside that they're going to be looking to get out at break even now that they've gone negative. So when it comes back, I'm looking for them to start hitting the exits. So I'll be looking to buy along with them. Upside objectives on the S&P would be at 11 and 1175. 1 minute until 50. These final 10, these things can go a little bit crazy. $30 seconds left until 50. Sellers on the NASDAQ, man, they just tickled that zone, didn't they? 32 is the area. They went to 31.75. All right. Thanks, S&P. Man, I got filled real bad on that MIT, though. Jeez. It triggered 1175, but the fill was 11 quarter. That's a bit of a bummer. Oh, well. Nice pop. Nothing to sell there on the NASDAQ. Jeez. It's just smoked that zone. Oof. S&P was a nice pickup. Would have preferred to get maybe a little bit of a better fill, but I'll take it. Big jump to the upside on this most recent rally. I mean, had I known it was going to do that, I wouldn't have had an order resting to get out. Hindsight, every time. See if bulls can get a little bit more continuation to the upside. S&P's done now. For now, at least. Got 8 minutes left until we got to wrap it up. Still really, really huge bull continuation to the upside. I wouldn't necessarily mind seeing like 33.25 for a scalper's pullback, but that's about it for right now. It's been aggressive the whole way up. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of a dip. 32.25. Maybe that's not being aggressive enough for the market right now, but I feel like if it's going to pull back farther than I want it to, right now is going to be when it does it. Little kind of sort of micro double top. Missed it by a little bit, but the two wicks up there are pretty obvious. A lot of volume stacking in the 40s. Kind of. Okay, there we go. Now they're breaking through the 40s. Now the question is, was that volume at the 40s? What was that? Was that a buyer getting out? Was that a new seller absorbing? What's what's the market's response to all that volume? Right back above 40 again. Given that context, it seems a lot more like that was just buyers taking profit. And that adds even more context to why buyers would want to buy the next halfway decent pullback. Justifiably, even a little bit more high, a little bit more higher. Wow, a little bit further up. 36.5. Still got about 5-ish minutes. Jeez. The S&P is making me jealous now. 12,750. Huge chunk of volume there. Wow. All right, let's see if the buyers want to snap back a little further. $12,750 was a humongous chunk of volume. A little bit of a pullback down to the 46 halves would be a zone of interest, but it kind of looks like they're not going to let it happen. We're resting on top of that 750 now. That's where all that volume was before. Want to see a little bit of that pullback. This feels like it's starting to get poised for a potential really big flush if it does pull back now. It seems like there's some warning signs going off here. I'm not liking that. Some bigger volume coming in the 48.50s. This volume at 750 is what's got me a little bit concerned. And the fact that we're hitting the DP resistance at 755 half. Got 3 minutes left. This is starting to get a little bit gross. I'm watching these highs to see if they want to poke the 55s again. I'm going to look for a short into this. I do not like the way that this is looking. If it does break out higher, then great for the buyers. But this seems like something is really wrong. Got a little bit of time left. I'd like to see a continuation push back down. If the sellers are going to take it, I mean, they're kind of forcing me to have to take the risk, so I want 44.50 at least. That's 2 to 1. Right into the 2 to 1 zone. Initial bounce back. Little too aggressive of a bounce back. I'm going to jump out. That was a little too much. I'll see if that was just the... I mean, if they're just messing with it and they want to push it back down, they got about a minute 20 to get the job done. I'd like to see it jump back above the 50s if the sellers are going to take it. Sellers trying to get that pushback now that we're getting the pop back higher. They've got 1 minute left. Looking for a flush back below the 50s in these final 30 seconds or so. They got 20 seconds left. Couple seconds left. One more push. Ugh. All right. Last little bit. Whew. Right at the end. Sheesh. Well, it looked like there was something really, really wrong up here, but it didn't want to get that coil back over again like I was looking for. Maybe it wants to do it after 4 o'clock now. Who knows? But it was a nice little fade back. It just didn't want to hit the gas pedal. Oh, well. But anyway, that's going to do it for today. I've got to duck out and make it to a couple meetings here. So enjoy. Rest up. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. Have a great one. Hope you had a great day, and we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.